Hi, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the second part of the Wired for Success podcast. You might see there might have been a little bit of a switcheroo with the seats, but that's because we've got two lovely guests, which are certainly a big part of the Red Rock family. We want to introduce Ferry and Eleanor Woolard to the panel. How are you doing, guys?
Yeah, good, thank you. Thanks for the invite. Thanks for having us.
More than welcome.
Yeah, really excited to be here, Manny. Thank you.
More than welcome. First, a lovely question I always like to ask. First podcast?
No.
Oh, we've got a veteran,
Experience.
Manny. We've got a veteran. You don't have to go easy, Manny. Yeah.
That question normally throws them off a bit. What about you, El?
So this is my first podcast. Yeah, I've done little sort of TikTok and real stuff when I've been out to see partners before, but this is my first podcast. So
we don't mention TikTok.
Oh, well, okay. No, this is my first time.
Manny wants us to do TikTok.
Yeah,
There's been
no,
much resistance.
Manny.
I thought if you dance, I'll get into TikTok.
I've never been on TikTok. Never done it.
No.
Seen. But yeah, as we know, you're a big part of, Red Rock Communications being one of our partners. But for the audience who may not be aware of ourselves or ITS, could you give them a quick intro into certainly personally who you are, roles at ITS and what ITS do?
Yeah, no problem. So I'm Dave Ferry. I head up all of our partner sales function at ITS. I've been with ITS since February 2020 when there was 25 of us in a converted cowshed in Chester. And now there's like 250 of us in a nice office and loads of contract partners and everything else around the country. We'll talk a bit more about that in a bit. My career's been in telecoms kind of all my life. Started out in mobile phones and then went to Virgin Media Business, and then into ITS, like say 4 years ago.
So I get to benefit from all Dave's hard work back in those days in the cowshed in Chester, because I now work in our lovely office in Daresbury. So yeah, I work as part of our inside sales desk team. So I look after a base of smaller and developing partners, just like you guys at Red Rock. So I'm, your point of contact and the point of contact for other partners for quotes with to do with fibre connectivity.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
Or person who has to put up with me on a regular basis.
so we've established that. Yeah. The sales team's split into four facets, really. So we've got the inside sales team that Eleanor works in, kind of say developing partners, some of the smaller partners that we work with. We might be getting all of their wallet, but then they're never going to be a talk or exponentially, they're not a massive business. Then we have the strategic accounts function that looks after some of those bigger names and others that I've just mentioned. Then we have a key accounts team that looks after some of the bigger partners, and a business development function as well. So we build fibre networks. We build them around the UK, including kind of the Northwest, Manchester, Tameside, kind of where we are and where we've been today. We've grown massively over the last few years. We've built our network now to be in reach of 500,000 business premises, which makes us realistically the third option for B2B connectivity behind the incumbents in Openreach and Virgin Media. Nobody else really comes close with B2B coverage. B2B is all we do, and partners all we do. So we're not out there trying to take direct business that our partners are also trying to win. We just want to support our partners.
Purely resellers and that.
Yeah.
Resale and wholesale, working with those partners to make sure that they've got the best-in-class connectivity for B2B underneath their other offerings. And one of the reasons we chose to go that way is when you look across the business landscape in any country, but especially the UK, you've got a real breadth of different industry verticals, and we can't be all things to all men. So if we want, or women, or people, if we wanted to try and kind of specialize in any particular vertical, we'd really narrow our market focus. So what we chose was we'd go broad, best-in-class business connectivity, and then our partners can put whatever cleverness they do over the top for whatever industry vertical they support and get that thing right.
Amazing.
Brilliant.
Nice. So what would you say are some of the factors that make you stand out from other competitors or some other businesses that do what you do for businesses when it comes to telecoms and connectivity?
So most of the people who are doing B2B connectivity, first off, are doing Ethernet using Openreach as EAD product, which can be expensive. It's also old technology now and can be really difficult to deliver. A lot of people in the industry, Sarah, you've told me all about your tribulations when we've been chatting today. But yeah, a lot of people have struggled with that. So most people that are out there are using that infrastructure. They might have put their kit in a BT exchange, but they're using that Openreach infrastructure to get out from there. I think where we differ mainly is we built our own network.
Nice.
So we built our own fibre network, brand new, latest technology in reach of those 500,000 business premises that I talked about before. We've got kind of 2 tiers of service on that network. We've got our Fibre Bright product, which is an Ethernet, uncontended, dedicated service, very similar to an OpenReach EAD. We've got our Fibre Lite product, which is a contended service, but it's not a typical kind of. A lot of people in the market are taking a residential broadband product, adding something on price-wise normally, calling it a business product.
Yeah.
We've got a business-grade contended product. It's not a Billy Basic kind of dirt cheap broadband product. It's Ethernet Lite. It's probably the way to think about it, which we call Fibre Lite. The great thing about our network is you can take a Fibre Lite product now and we can upgrade that all the way up to an Ethernet product without having to send another engineer out. You've not got that option with some of the incumbents. If you want to go from a contended product to an uncontended product, you need a brand new install. You need to wait 90 days for the privilege. You might need a new way leave. We don't have that. Once we're in your customer's building, we can take them up that value stack and take them up that speed tier without another truck roll.
The Fibre Lite product is quite unique in the market, isn't it, in terms of its performance and its capabilities. But aside from that, it's also got that upgradability, so it can scale with the business. There's a term that we widely use at ITS called future-proof. You know, our entire network is future-proof because it's full fibre and it's ours. And the product itself is future-proof as well, particularly Fibre Lite, because it can be that first step into fibre broadband world for businesses that are just stepping off ADSL connections, and it grows with them.
I have to say, we from Provision have found it's the only product we've come across that is actually a good step between broadband and a full lease line, and it does a middle ground.
It's on its own in that space. It really does.
No one else seems to have explored, and it's just, we found you're not ready for a lease. Nobody wants to be spending lease line money if you're a small business.
If you've got an office with 3 people in, you don't want to be spending £200 a month, do you?
Yeah, I think when we did our due diligence on ITS, as we do, I think one of the key differentiators was that it fitted our product portfolio. It fitted that element. It's that step between your sort of basic broadband and your Ethernet services, and there's this just glaring gap in between.
Yeah, there always has been, hasn't there?
Yeah,
I've tried to plug that.
We kind of looked at numerous providers, and I think ITS kind of we're a step ahead in terms of their own network, their own infrastructure, their own NOC, and just the service and the delivery team behind it. I know you guys have gone through similar growth pains. You know, I don't get us wrong, we're not at the 250 employee mark, but we felt the pain going from 3 to 10 people. So kind of going through that process, I can imagine has been.
It has. And I think a couple of things to elaborate first on what Eleanor said about the future-proof. The fibre in the ground's only really limited by what boxes you stick on the end of it. So at the minute, the technology is a 10 gig product effectively. And so something called XGS PONs, 10 gig symmetrical network. The next iteration will be 50 gig and then 100 gig. And we can change the boxes on the other end of it.
Yeah. And that
and customer speeds, which is excellent. But then on those growing pains, absolutely. What works to get the delivery processes right when you're delivering 10 orders a week doesn't work when you're delivering 200 orders a week. What works in the sales team and the sales structure when you're taking 10 orders a week doesn't work when you're taking 5, 6, 7, 800 orders a month, which is kind of some of the scale we've reached. But you've got to keep growing, you've got to keep changing, and we have to keep we always talk internally like we're kind of trying to break the world speed record while we're building the car. It's going great guns. Got a lot of people wanting to use our network, but some of the processes we're still kind of catching up.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, we chat with Manny sometimes, and we laugh a little. We kind of mention it because of his age, and we kind of go, "Oh, do you remember back in the days of 50, 60, even 28K modems, and how speeds have progressed?" And we are consumers, whether it's business consumers or individual consumers.
Absolutely.
And as consumers, we're always after more.
Yeah.
And what we've seen, and it is, it's going to grow exponentially.
It is.
So having that ability to have something that right now, you might only need 100 meg circuit.
That's it.
But I can guarantee you in 12, 18, 24 months, that might be 200 meg.
Yeah, it will be.
In 3, 4 years, that is the likelihood that's going to be a gig. Even for small business, if you look at Netflix, when that was first released, and the speeds, you could run that on a 10 meg.
That's it. The content.
But now you're talking 4K.
Yeah.
And that's just going to progress because, again, as we're a consumer society, and as we drive technology, and that Moore's law of doubling every is it 2 years?
It's at every two. I think it slipped away a bit
it is.
from that. But I think if you look at Ethernet, we talked about Ethernet before. If you look 10 years ago, 100 meg was the technology, and 5 years ago,
We used to provision 10 meg.
yeah, I mean,
So yeah, like the 10
meg,
10 meg EAD circuit and Ethernet first mile,
yeah.
which
So every 5 years, that kind of goes up to the next tier, and we're in that transition period now. People are starting to take things on a 10 gig bearer when they think about that typical kind of incumbent network. The great thing with our network is really, even though we market it with bearers, because that's what everybody else does, we don't really have that limitation. So we can take people right up through that stack. And I think we're kind of at a point in time where there's more bandwidth available than the applications we use. But there's a killer application coming on the horizon, whether it's consumer or business, that's going to use all that bandwidth. And we don't know what it is yet, but something's going to come in. Entrepreneurial businesses will come up with something that uses that bandwidth to make our lives better, help us run our businesses better. And we're in a great position now where a lot of the time we've got access to that bandwidth. I think what businesses are finding, though, is a lot of the other operators in the market who are building network are building primarily in residential areas. I think we're probably unique, and nowhere unique, in that we're building into those B2B areas.
Nice, yeah.
Some cynics think the incumbents aren't building into those because Ethernet revenues are high and they don't want to lose them. And then actually, when you look at some of the alternative networks that have sprung up, it's easier to sell to residents. You build past their house, you knock on the door, someone lives there, you sell to them, but it's harder to sell to business, harder to get them to change. But actually, the value is much higher, and it's a bit of the market that had been left behind.
Do you think there's a lack of almost education in terms of independent ISPs and businesses, and almost a fear that it's not BT Openreach or Virgin? There's kind of almost
better the devil you know.
Yeah, we see that with consumers sometimes. It's kind of or with telecoms, and we speak to a lot of people, and it's almost a sort of, well, the service might be terrible, but at least I know what I'm going to get.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm moving to Red Rock, and it's kind of it's almost that unknown, and there's that fear.
What do you see with your partners?
Yeah, I think this is definitely something that we experienced when we took our Faster Britain bus out. So for those viewers that don't know about our Faster Britain campaign,
Explain it, us, please, Eleanor.
It's basically a marketing campaign on wheels, a big purple double-decker bus that our partners, such as you guys, can book out and take to business expos in around local areas. And we did that not too long ago, didn't we? And it was interesting for me because obviously my job is to deal with other telecoms professionals like yourselves that know about the products that we're dealing with. And whenever I go out with partners and sort of door knock or speak to the public, and you can see that there is a gap in education there because we only deal with business to business. And sometimes those end users that aren't knowledgeable in the telecoms industry may not be familiar with ITS because we're not BT that they have at home. And sometimes, those businesses can make their bed with what they know, and they don't know that they can have it better elsewhere.
I think that's the biggest thing, the benefit, highlighting the benefits and almost alleviating that thing.
Yeah.
And kind of this isn't a small company running out of the back of a ship. This is an established business with, a real financial grounding.
And when Manny and I went out to go and see those businesses while we were on the bus, we're having conversations with them going, oh yeah, we're with such and such, but it's sort of not really good enough, or wish it did this, and we're thinking, well, we can offer you that, but you just need to, there's an educational barrier. They need to understand what it is that we're offering first to realise, oh, why didn't I do this 2 years ago?
That's it. I think research we've done suggests about half of businesses in the country are buying through the channel. The other half are buying from an incumbent. And, I think there's probably a lot of small businesses, micro businesses, what have you, where the natural choice is just to ring whoever they've got at home. I just ring Virgin Media, I ring BT, I ring TalkTalk, I ring whoever. They use them at home. It's all right. Kind of know what I'm going to get. And they maybe don't understand some of the differences you can get for a business connection. I think when you go up the stack a bit to some of the kind of mid-sized businesses, I think there's often a bit more savvy. They will go out to a channel partner and they'll say, I want to kind of solve this problem. Whereas I think some smaller businesses think, I just need the internet and a phone line, so I'll ring for that, and they're buying something. Whereas your medium businesses and your bigger businesses are trying to solve a problem with that solution, and our product becomes part of that. And we kind of want to exist within our partners' products. And that's what the Faster Britain brand can do, is exist within your product, a bit like Intel processors exist inside a laptop,
So how can companies like Red Rock help with that mission then of getting the education out there? So what would you want from us to spread?
for me, it's about working together. You've used the bus, which is great. You know, it's a great tool we've kind of put in this year for partners to use. So thank you for getting on board.
Dave,
I knew you were going to get one pun in there as well.
Get a fun in, dad jokes on kids watching.
but in seriousness, Dave, the bus, it did work.
Yeah.
You know, we remember the Stalybridge Celtic.
Yeah.
So with Stalybridge, last week? And they're going to be progressing in IT. In fact, we've got to place that order.
It's just, I think it's such a great marketing tool because aside from the fact it helps you guys get out there and educate businesses, because, you know, we're talking about educating the public here. That's not my job, it's your job. And so it's something that you have to overcome. And I'd like to think us providing that marketing tool for you helps that area of educating end users. But aside from, you know, educating about fibre, it's just a novelty to go on to a double decker and have a slice of cake and a coffee in the kitchen area downstairs. Well, and then, you know, pop upstairs into the boardroom area where we can have a chat about business. So yeah, I think so far across the board, our partners have found it very useful.
They have. And I think it's just about all of our partners getting out and spreading the word that we've built this network, and you know, we built it to put connections on. We're doing really, really well. We're connecting a lot of customers to the network, which I think is different to quite a few of the other businesses in this sector that we sometimes get grouped with. I think we don't really see ourselves as an altnet anymore based on the scale we've reached, you know. I think certainly that altnet badge is much more in that residential space where you've got some great names out there and you've got some businesses doing great things. We're treading a different path, but it's about our partners, including you guys, getting out talking to businesses about it. Every time, you know, a business expo or speaking to a potential customer saying, hey, do you know there's new networks in town and you can access this and all the great things we've talked about on this podcast. So let us know how we can help you as well.
I've been picking you guys up in Stalybridge.
Oh, cool.
Because they've got...
Staley Vegas.
Yeah.
Just so our audience now, obviously, you know, a lot of our focus is on local business. And ITS does have a really strong presence in Oldham, Duckingfield, Stalybridge, Glossop.
Yeah. Is that important for you as well to kind of get your foothold in the local business in those communities as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're kind of trying to do more and more on the social value side of the business as well. There's a couple of things we've done that have been more nationally focused, but we're interested in doing more local things. And also all of our people get a couple of volunteering days per year that they can do as well. So some of our guys have gone out with their partners and done different things. Sometimes teams will go out and do something. So we want to make sure our people are empowered to give back. At a more central level, we've done a couple of initiatives. The main one we did was a company called Innovate Her. So they spun up a business to support young girls into careers in technology. It was all face-to-face, and then COVID hit and they re-spun the business and did it all online, which meant where previously they'd just been in Liverpool, they were suddenly national. So we've supported them on rolling out programs of education to young girls across the UK in some of our network areas to help them kind of build their confidence, build their skills and understand how they can come into a career in technology.
100% would like to know more about that outside of the podcast. So yeah, social value is a big thing coming up, well, that we do anyway in Red Rock. But yeah, we've been looking ourselves into social value and sustainability and looking more local.
Let us know where we can help. If you want us to come and do some volunteering days with you or something like that, Eleanor would use one of hers and come and give you a hand up.
That's how I've been nominated.
Well,
I'll come to right there.
But to circle back to your question about, you know, what we can do to support, the public and things like that and educate them about fibre, the massive advantage, not to toot my own trumpet too much, but the advantage that you guys have with me being desk-based is that I'm on call all the time. And I think that's something that ITS have responded to recently with the development of my team. Historically, account managers have been out in the field, as it were, which is great because you get a lot of face-to-face time. But if you just want to ask a quick query or have a question that you need answering quite quickly, it can be quite difficult to keep that line of communication up. With me being desk-based, you know, if you've got any questions that you guys haven't come across before, you know, you're very well educated, especially Sarah with your background in Gamma. But if you ever come across any questions from the public that you're not sure on, as long as I'm doing my job properly, you should have an answer off me fairly quickly. So I think we do well to support our partners.
I think that's one thing we realised when we looked at how we segmented our customer base this year. Actually, some of the bigger partners, they don't need as much of that help.
No.
It's the smaller partners that need that. And well, counterintuitive, well, field-based account managers will have all the help they need. They'll be out there. Some of our partners don't even have an
different
office.
style.
So
Yeah, it's a
I
different
don't
style.
need to come to my office. I haven't got one. I just need someone at the end of a phone. And that's what Eleanor and the team are doing a great job of.
Can attest it has been a breath of fresh air having Eleanor's team and just always having that point of contact. Because customers do throw the weird questions.
Yeah, and you guys are customer facing. You know, you're the one with the pressure on you. And if there's anything that I can do to alleviate that pressure, I will. And I think a quick response time, even if it's I'll find out and get back to you ASAP, I think that goes a long way for you to then pass on to the end users as well.
Power of the no update.
Yes, exactly.
I like that.
I think that's something that we've got an advantage of over competition because we are adapting to the new style of business, and we are, especially with the development of my team, quite focused on supporting smaller and developing partners such as yourself, and that then as a result is us supporting small local communities because you guys have got quite a big involvement in Oldham and Tameside, haven't you? So
100%. So when you do get a new business that's come onto your books, what kind of processes do you follow to make sure that they've got all the tools necessary from you to provide the best service for their customers possible?
yeah.
So I want to let you answer it.
Yeah,
It's not my thing.
we have a wonderful business development manager, and so all our new leads go through Peter, and he sort of vets them, if you like, and that is from sort of a two-sided perspective. To make sure that they are a credible business that we want to work with, but also to find out more about how we can support them. Because particularly in my team and inside sales, we have quite a range of partners who are one-man bands or, running their business out of their own pocket, and then slightly bigger partners who are making their way up to field and strategic. So they go through this onboarding process where they have conversations with Peter about what they need, what they're looking for, what sort of business opportunities they have. And then they're introduced to myself or someone in my team, and we have our own conversations with them there. And we tend to try and think about how to flex our account management style to suit them. If they're a smaller partner that's out in the field all the time, they're not going to want to be answering emails, and so they'd rather I ring them. Whereas you guys that are more office-based, you'd rather have things in writing. So I tend to email you more and phone other partners more.
Great flexibility.
Yeah, so they go through an onboarding process where we train them on our products and how to use our portal and things like that. But it's also a process to allow our partners to tell us what they need from ITS.
Obviously, when you build some of the smaller partners, smaller businesses, that works quite well. When you're bringing on much bigger businesses, there's often a big procurement process. And, some of the places that Sarah's worked might go through a huge amount of due diligence on you for numerous years before they partner with you. And there's a scale of how that works. But there's much less of those size of businesses to work with and to partner with, and a lot more of the ones who will naturally come into the inside sales team.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you guys. And if there is a business that's watching this and they are actually curious about reaching out to you and finding out more about your services, what's the best form that they can get in contact?
There's a few different ways, isn't there? So you can have a look on our Faster Britain website. You can also call in on our sales line for our ITS number. That comes through to me and my team. So perhaps someone watching this might end up speaking to me on the phone on the inside sales line.
So we don't get any weird calls.
Yeah. I saw you on that podcast. So there's numerous different ways you can get in contact.
We need to do this now, our listeners.
Yeah. But it does go, any sort of inquiries do go through an onboarding process first.
Or they can reach out to you guys as a partner. Obviously, we've got a lot of partners out there. It'd be great to reach out to you since we're on your podcast.
That's the preferred method.
Preferred method on this podcast is Red Rock. Preferred method on someone else's podcast, it's them.
And then just touching on what we chatted about on the way in, sort of new products, any new things, anything exciting to be looking out for with ITS?
We've enhanced the Fibre Lite product, haven't we? We've launched a new Fibre One product. Nice. The Fibre One product, I'll let Eleanor cover off the Fibre.
I was going to say, explain.
Eleanor's the expert. I'll cover off Fibre.
Well, I wouldn't say expert. So our Fibre Lite product, it used to be what we classed as an asymmetrical connection, in that the guaranteed speeds were 10 and 20%. And then we had a burstable bandwidth, which basically meant that you had those guaranteed speeds and you could have the line performing more than that. So the burstable bandwidth is a benefit really. But we've now ensured that the guaranteed speeds are 20% up and down. So it's just enhancing that product by a lot. And we've improved the scalability of it as well, which we discussed at the start of the podcast. It's quite, our systems have improved in increasing bandwidth and also increasing to our Fibre Bright product, which is our dedicated uncontended service.
Yeah.
Which is
And the migration, again, probably touched on earlier, the migration from Fibre Light to Fibre Bright.
We have to send
That
you a
is-
new box to plug it on the end of it. We
Yeah.
don't have to send an engineer out.
Yeah.
We're looking at some new technology in the market at the minute that will alleviate that. One of the challenges on that at the minute is commercial rather than technical, in that the boxes that support a 10 gig service are that much more expensive. It doesn't commercially work on a cheaper product or a lower price product. So we need to wait for that market to move a bit, and then at some point we'll be able to put kit in there that will take you all the way through.
Yeah, and a relatively straightforward process.
Yeah.
It's not like the migration process from a traditional
No.
ADSL.
If you've got an ADSL and you want a lease line, it's a brand new install, it's a brand new order, it's a brand new provider. It might take you 90 days. You might need a new way leave and. If we've got the fibre in, we'll send your end user a new box. You can send your engineer in and swap it over, and we'll upgrade the bandwidth for you.
Which is also
The whole upgrade process is basically the ordering of the new kit, isn't it?
Yeah.
From your perspective, drop me an email and say, oh, I'd like this upgrade. I put in what we call a manual order and it's sorted.
That's it. And we'll be bringing those functionalities into the portal as well. So we're going to enhance the portal that you guys use to place orders. So at the moment, the search, quote, and order is fully automated. So you can search a postcode, find the address, see what's available, place the order, and that delivers something straight into our workflow. What we're going to start surfacing through that portal is the workflow stages and progress, so you can keep track of all your orders, but also your installed base, so you can then do moves, add, changes, disconnect, etc. And you can kind of self-serve some of that functionality. So we want to make sure that portal's the window in which our partners do business with us, and we surface everything about their estate that they have with us through that. Some of that's limited or has been limited in the past to some of our systems that we're currently upgrading. And then as we surface those things, partners will be able to use it. The other thing on the product front, we've added a couple of new service options. So you can now add on an enhanced fault fix on Fibre Light as well. So if someone doesn't want to pay they don't need the dedicated bandwidth, they're happy with the burstable, but they do want a 6-hour fault fix, you can add that on. We've got a Fibre One product, which is using Open Reach's FTTP network to begin with. And that's kind of very basic broadband.
entry level.
A lot more for business. We've got some businesses and some partners that want multi-site. So they want free Ethernet circuits. They want a couple of Fibre Light. Or they've got some satellite sites that just need a traditional kind of broadband service. Don't have anyone working there. There might be some kit in there, whatever, sensors. Might have 1 or 2 staff. You need something because someone uses that office 1 day a month, but they don't want to pay even the Fibre Light prices. So we wanted to have that in our kit bag. It doesn't use our own network on that one. It uses Open Reach's fibre.
And I think that product will suit your clientele portfolio quite well, working with, smaller businesses, charities, spaces that are currently on copper lines, circling back to that conversation about the switch off. This is a product that we've introduced to help support people coming into the fibre world, and particularly smaller businesses that aren't looking to fork out a fortune on a monthly basis for an uncontended line that they don't need.
100% amazing. And last question on this segment: how have you actually found working with Red Rock? Not really.
Oh, God. No,
That's what you said to me in the office. That's on camera.
Email's not being answered.
No, I mean, I think you guys have a very similar work ethic to me. I know that you very much have a perspective of wanting to help people. And, going back to talking about my style of work being very responsive and very accessible, I think you guys definitely have that perspective as well. You have quite a hybrid way of working, similar to me, in that you're desk-based and accessible, but you also make sure to go out into the community and do face-to-face events as well.
Yeah. And again, very similar. I think it's as simple as it's putting the customer at the focus.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a core value of ours.
Mm-hmm.